Good evening. Good evening. So it's about 11 o'clock tonight, but I just got out of this meeting and I felt like I needed to get on here and talk about something. So the meeting was talking about how much are we investing in ourselves. And it got me thinking because what I realized is, I really wasn't investing in myself until I started going to these groups. Um, it's taken me about 40 something years to get to this point in my life where I'm like, hey, Camille, girl, get your shit. You matter. Hello, what are we doing? So, it's taken me a while to get to this point where I'm like actively and intentionally investing in me, learning all about me, taking accountability and responsibility for me, my actions, my choices, my decisions, all of that. I definitely wasn't doing that before. It's it's like, most of us, we go to school, they teach us about everything else except for us. The world, maybe some geography, history, languages, right? They don't teach us about mindset. I mean, definitely not when I was going. And then we go to college, and then depending on what we're majoring in, if you go to college route, you're learning about it, your particular field. You're investing in that field, and then you get, further degrees. You're investing more into that. So, like when I got my master's in family therapy, I'm learning about theories and relationships, mental health, all that stuff. But again, not really much about me as a person, just more so everything related to that degree. I mean, I think at some point I tried to do like some side work to learn about myself, read some self-help books about, personal development, mindset work, manifestation. But like really and truly, like how much of that information really sticks? Like how much am I really, like I had to say to myself, how much am I really like applying that every single day? So after college, you get in relationships. Again, you invest in the relationship. If you get married, you invest in your marriage, making sure that it's clicking on all cylinders. If you have children, you're investing in your children. You're working at a job, you're investing in that company, whatever the mission of that company is. It's like all of this external investment, right? Like, at what point are we doing internal investment? So I'm like, okay. And I was in the meeting, I was thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, when did it switch for me? When I started going to these meetings, when I got into a group, when I started, working with other like-minded individuals. Because like I said before that, maybe I would have a conversation with a girlfriend and, we're talking about life. Was that internal investment? Or how about when I used to go to church and I would go for like 2 hours? Was that internal investment? And, we're talking 2 hours a week compared to the rest of the week, like of all that external investment I was doing. So it's like, like, or how about when I'm like watching YouTube videos, right? And watching those motivational channels with like Denzel Washington and David Goggins and, those people. I'm getting inspired in the moment. And then it's like as soon as the video is done, I'm like, okay, back to life. Like, what was I worrying about again? Like, it just wasn't sticking, right? Oh, how about this? Oprah, big on Oprah, Super Soul Sundays, and I remember me and my girlfriend used to watch those a lot. Yeah, Iyanla, and you get in the moment of those, and you're like, man, yeah, I get it, but it's like, again, after it shuts off, you're just kind of back to life, and you're just really not putting anything into practice. So, it's taken me to really think about that, and I'm just wondering about where you are with that as well. Like, when do you get an opportunity to come together and like really work on yourself, work on that internal investment? When do you get to work on like real spiritual principles that like are really moving the needle in your life in the direction that you want it to go? You really can't heal alone. Like, you can try to heal alone, but after a while you're like, okay, this is just me. Like, how am I really getting any other new information other than what I'm getting from myself? If you understand what I'm saying. Because it's just you and your ego. But if you're not really getting anything else downloaded, like, how are you really getting transformation when you're just kind of doing it by yourself? I don't know. What do you think? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't have all the answers, but I'm just processing it out loud in real time. And I'm like, it wasn't working for me, so I know I can't be the only one. I feel like it really does take a community. It takes you being around other like-minded people on a similar journey. Like, healing it's a forever journey. I get that. It's not just like, okay, we meet together and then it's like, boom, I'm cured. But it takes, I feel like, a true like energy of people, and just that level of fellowship for like shifts to really occur. I don't know about you, but I just know I've been tired of living my life in contradiction, where like I have these big deep desires and vision for my life, but on an everyday basis I'm not doing anything to get there. I think I am, but I'm really not. If I really sat back and looked at what I was doing, I wasn't working on honesty, I wasn't working on humility, compassion, forgiveness, like true unconditional faith, like blind faith, gratitude, surrender, acceptance, being of service. Like, how was I helping each other? How was I carrying the message forward? Like, really and really truly making impactful, like a positive impact in other people's lives. How are you doing it? Let me know. How are you helping others outside of you? Like, true accountability. Like, that's what I'm getting now. Like, I'm being held accountable for what I say I'm going to do and the kind of change that I want to make in my life. It's hard to hold yourself accountable. It's hard to cheerlead. It's not impossible, but it just takes a lot when you've got a lot of external things happening outside of you. Yeah, it took me a while to realize that I was living in contradiction, because I wanted peace, like peace, serenity, all of that. I wanted all of that. And just, this is a side note. If you can hear my dog breathing real loud, I apologize. I just want to say that. But yeah, like, I wanted peace. I wanted calmness in my life. I want to manifest the things that I'm thinking about and visualizing. But how am I doing that if I'm still like walking around like holding on to resentments because I've got like all these expectations, and I'm looking at these outcomes. I'm not practicing surrender. I'm not practicing acceptance principles. I definitely wasn't being honest with myself doing it alone. My relationships were, faltering. It's just a lot going on. And it's every day it's every day is a journey, and every day is a challenge still. But I see the change in myself. I really, really, truly do. And I'm liking and loving, me more and more each day. And that's a big fucking deal, y'all. Because I was not there. Excuse my language. I apologize. Didn't mean to curse. But I get passionate sometimes when, I talk about growth and healing. Um, I love the shifts. So, how how am I going to get the things that I desire? How can I experience them if I'm still living in contradiction? So I say all that to say, how are you really investing in yourself? Like, if we really to take a step back and do like a self inventory, at what point, can you really truly say, yeah, I'm working on me and the needle is moving? Like, seriously, like a lot of us we got a lot going on. We got some tough relationship stuff going on. We have our children. We've got parent stuff. If we're caregivers for our parents, our jobs. Some of us are trying to become entrepreneurs. Some of us are trying to relocate, to start anew. We're all in some form of fashion looking for these shifts, but we're carrying our same selves everywhere we go, in every relationship that we encounter, and every next day. So, if we're not really doing any internal investments, how do we really expect things to change? And for most, to be honest, like, you got to be open. You got to be open. You got to be willing. You have to be honest. And you have to have the self-awareness to be like, oh shit, it is me. Because a lot of us, we won't look at ourselves. We're quick to talk about, this person needs to do this and that person needs to do that, and only if this, if I had this amount of money or whatever it is. And it's everything outside of us. But yeah, when you really get down to the nitty gritty, it's you, boo. It's you, it's me. We're the ones that need to, it's basically changing within ourselves. Yeah, that's the real internal work. If you want to have consistent results and you really want to have that consistent joy, happiness, attitude of gratitude, that sense of peace, calm, and serenity, like you want to have 80 to 90% of your day looking like that, it's you, it's me, it's us. We need to figure that part out, and that takes the internal investment. So yeah, just thinking about that, and just I need to get a new microphone, but yeah, I'm grateful for where I am. I thank you, God. It's taken a long road to get to this point in my life where it's comfortable I'm comfortable in my own skin. When I say it's taken a while to get there, to get here, excuse me, it's taken a while. But thank God I am here, and showing up in a way that honors me and what feels good in my body, not what other people say I should be doing. And so, yeah, so I want to have more of these kind of conversations of honesty as I'm growing, learning, teaching. It feels really good. Still have my days, but I'm grateful. So I'm wondering, where are you? Where are you on your journey of no longer living in contradiction? Let me know how that's working out. Like to hear where you are and what you're doing to get there.